Hello and welcome to another Oki Solo Channel YouTube video. So today I'm talking about dinosaurs, and I'm doing that for three main reasons. A, I had a lot of fun the last time I did it, and B, it's probably going to be a while before I do another one because this summer I've been doing some traveling and I just rediscovered my love of whales. So I would say look forward to that in my channel because that's inspired at least a dozen videos that I'm currently working on and filming and whatever. So brace for impact there. But also, see, I have been working on this video for over a month. So no joke, I wrote this video. The day I was getting ready to film it, I found out that the day before, a new paper by Longrich et al. Titled Hatchling Tyrannosaurus Rex and the Evolution of Dinosaur Reproductive Strategies. And that's relevant because I did a whole conspiracy board and I was trying to figure out what I thought was realistic depictions of Tyrannosaurus Rex parental care, and was extrapolating from modern animals and other Silurian dinosaurs, because we didn't have any hatchling T-Rexes to work with. And suddenly we had a paper and I had to rewrite the whole script. And then I did my first trip of the summer. And then I've been prepping for an even bigger trip. I'm actually leaving in a few days at the point of filming right now. And so I just have been sitting on this, wanting to do it, and I've just been too busy. So I have a break now, and I'm doing it. So I wanted to talk about the depiction of Tyrannosaurus parental care in the Lost World Jurassic Park. I remember seeing this movie when I was very young and being intensely fascinated with the idea of Tyrannosaurus Rex as a caring parent. And so when I was looking at this, I decided that the way that made the most sense to me was slicing it into four main bullet points and being like, how realistic is that depiction? Is that a realistic depiction is probably a better way to word that question. Biparental care, and that would be care of both parents, because that's what we see in the movie. We see two parents caring and protecting the offspring. Large juvenile size. This is an animal that is quote, I think is probably only a couple weeks old, never left the nest. So it's a couple weeks old and it's a couple dozen pounds, it looks like. It's nest bound at that point in the story. It leaves the nest literally because people pull it out of the nest. And then that means that the parents are feeding the offspring. So reference point you need is a lot of the literature we're comparing to modern Archosaurs because these are known tangible points. So modern Archosaurs would be birds, which are derived dinosaurs, and crocodilians. And on one extreme end with crocodilians, they'll produce a couple dozen eggs in a clutch. Female defends a nest. She doesn't feed the offspring when they hatch out, but they can do these like distress cries, and the parents will parent will come by and protect the offspring from whatever. And the other extreme end would be something like a robin, where it hatches out with like no feathers. It's dependent on parents feeding it. It's nest bound, and the parents will feed it for a long time, long enough for it to grow big and strong enough that it can fly out into the world. And some birds even show a little bit of care post the bird flying, like teaching it how to be a bird, basically. So when we're looking at, like, this is actually a hatchling Tarbosaurus, and this is, I think it's a Cetipatian nest. When we're looking at Silurisaurian dinosaurs, Varricchio et al. Had two really important bullet points. And bullet point number one was that they found that clutch volume was probably a very important metric. So like if you took the volume of all the eggs in a clutch, whether it was like 20 very small eggs or 2 very big eggs, that volume was very important for, at least they managed to find a correlation between that clutch volume that clutch volume correlated with either maternal care, paternal care, and biparental care. And when you're looking at, again, this paper came out 2008, so we didn't have the hatchling T-Rex yet. They looked at Troodon, Oviraptor, and Psittipati, which are Silurosaurian, just like T-Rex. They found that Silurian saurian dinosaurs model most closely with paternal care. And their second bullet point, sorry, I didn't hold my hand high enough. Their second bullet point was that they looked at the histology of adult animals associated with a nest. And they did not find evidence of medullary bone in any of these instances in a Silurian dinosaur. And so that would be, medullary bone is specific type of bone remodeling that you see in egg-laying animals that are pulling calcium from their bones to put it into eggshells. Now, that means that doesn't eliminate the possibility that this is a female that isn't the individual that laid the nest. But when they were looking at the correlation of being paternal care and they find evidence of an individual with the nest who isn't an egg-laying female or a female who laid eggs recently, that does lay a little bit more weight to the idea that maybe this is paternal care. But when you looked at Longrich et al., this is a crazy paper. So there's a lot of extrapolations here, so I'll admit there are a lot of limitations with this. But they found I'm going to call it a hatchling. It's probably too old to be called a hatchling, but it's under a year old, so that just for simplicity on my sake, I'm just going to call it a hatchling. A hatchling Tyrannosaurus rex metatarsal 3, which is a bone in the foot, which is interesting, given that the baby T-Rex in the movie, I'm pretty sure, broke its metatarsals when it needed to have that cast put on. So they extrapolated from that foot bone to the full size of the individual, okay? And then from there, they managed to regress it to what its size at hatching would have been, which allowed them to extrapolate to egg volume, which allowed them to extrapolate to clutch volume. And that's all very fascinating. One of the bullet points in there that I found really fascinating, and I'm using that word a lot, it's a very fun word, very interesting, was that the expected volume of a T-Rex egg was about 2 liters. And you're like, that is huge. But when you're looking at how big a T-Rex is, that's pretty small, especially given that like an elephant bird produces an egg that's much larger. And we actually see this pattern in dinosaurs overall, so there's actually a limit on how big you can make an egg, because volume increases on a cube, whereas surface area increases on a square. So that means that at some point the volume is going to be large enough that it'll cause the eggshell to crack. And there's a limit on how thick you can make an eggshell, because the eggshell needs to be able to allow oxygen to permeate through to the embryo, otherwise it will suffocate. So, given that dinosaurs were incredibly large and they were not capable of producing eggs larger than modern birds, they spec'd into just having a lot of them. And the extreme end seems to be sauropods, where they seem to do something very similar to like modern sea turtles, where they're like, we're just going to lay a lot of them, and they're going to get absolutely demolished by predators, but some of them will make it. And this is me paraphrasing from the paper, but I wrote down Tyrannosaurid hatchlings would have been relatively larger than turtle or crocodilian hatchlings, but smaller than most modern birds or even Lambeosaurinae hatchlings. So, that's fascinating, and to the point where some of the authors, I've seen interviews with them in other videos where at least one of them seems to think this means maternal care, something more crocodilian-like. And they did specifically say a crocodilian-like model in the paper. Clutch volume. So when we were looking at the 4 bullet points I brought up, do any of them hold up? Well, given that the lines of evidence we have indicate either paternal care or maternal care, no bioparental care. Juvenile size was probably much smaller than depicted in the movie at that age. In fact, if we're looking at Tarbosaurus, I think the hatchling size more correlates to something almost 2 years old. And we know that it couldn't have been that big because the eggs couldn't have been that big. Cool. Another point in Longrich et al. That I didn't talk about that I think is important, they had histology on the bone, and it indicated an animal that was moving around and active fairly quickly after hatching. So not nest bound, okay? And they actually found isolated Tyrannosaurus rex teeth that had evidence of wear and tear that was similar to the adults, as in, like the adults, they were chomping on bones. And this is actually indicative of an animal that isn't being fed, as indicative of an animal that's hunting things in its own size class. So fails on all bullet points. Still love the movie, not criticizing it. I still love that movie and I love that depiction, and it's still my favorite. But when you're looking at the comparison between crocodilians, turtles, birds, and Lambeosaurus, where does this put T-Rex? It probably indicates a little bit more investment per offspring than turtles for sure, maybe a little bit more than crocodiles. So maybe one parent was caring for them. And I'm actually going to forward a hypothesis here. Maybe something kind of chicken-like, or even like a duck, because the parents don't feed the offspring, but the offspring follow the parent around, mooching off of their ability to kind of find food. Mama duck knows where food is, and her chicks can mooch off of that, but also the parent does defend them. She just doesn't feed them. She just leads them either inadvertently or advertently to food. And so maybe T-Rex did something similar, where the juveniles followed the parents for a while and did their own hunting, but just stuck around where the parent was doing their own thing because the parent was big and scary and things would leave them alone. More likely to leave them alone. And that's actually really interesting because that is very similar to the prehistoric planet depiction with a parent. And I think they even said that the nest started off with 20 individuals. And so that's a pretty realistic depiction, I suppose. So great for them. So this was a quick overview of the evidence as it stands now. I'm sure in 10 years this will be incredibly outdated, but thus is science. We're advancing as we find more and we can fit more of the pieces together. This is one piece, and they managed to extrapolate out from there and give us a glimpse into what seems realistic and probable with the little evidence that we have. So if you found this interesting, please like, subscribe, comment. I'm purposely saying that because I've actually found in my videos that if I say like, comment, subscribe, I actually get a 10% bump in people who do that than if I don't say it at all. And I've also found that my channel is pretty small, if you can't tell, and every comment I get gets me on a video, gets me a 20% bump in viewership for that video. So please comment below. That helps the channel grow and whatnot. And if you would like to see me do more dinosaur content, please say so. But be realistic, and me being honest here, I'm going to be doing a lot of whale videos. I think I'm doing a hard turn towards probably the majority of my channel going forward is going to be that. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope other people are looking forward to that. You can just be along for the ride either way. I'm having fun. So, so please stay curious and have lots of fun out there.